Hi guys, Victoria Paxton here. Thanks for stopping back by my YouTube channel. Okay guys, so like, share, subscribe, that would be nice. Doesn't cost you anything. That way, and then hit the little notification bell so that you get notified whenever I put a new video up. Yeah. Okay, so today y'all, you have to forgive me. I might be a little low on energy today. I have a pounding headache. That is pollen in the Washington, D.C. area is kicking my butt. So, okay, so at least it makes it easier to stay home during COVID, right? If you have a headache, you don't feel like going out anyway. And my town is still on lockdown. We haven't even done phase 1 of reopening, so yeah. Okay, so today I'm talking about Susan Powell. Susan Cox Powell was born on October 16th, 1981. She was 28 years old when she disappeared from her Utah home on December 6th of 2009. Okay. Susan was a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She met her husband Josh Powell in 2000. He was also a member of the Latter-day Saints. 6 months later, they were married. Susan left her job as a cosmetologist because Josh wanted to be a realtor, so she went and got her realtor's license so she could support her new man, support her husband in his business, right? Okay, so in 2005, the Powells had a son and named him Charlie. 2 years later, their son Braden was born. In 2008, Josh was struggling to hold down a job, and he had to file bankruptcy. Sounds like a guy that's having issues. Of course, this didn't sit well with Susan, right? Josh and Susan's relationship was struggling at this point. Susan began journaling her struggles and videotaping their assets in case they got a divorce. So you know it's getting bad when, because I know Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints members, they don't take marriage lightly, and they aren't about getting a divorce. So if she's actually starting to do this, then she's really in dire straits. She's scared of something, Okay. She knew her family was in danger, but she didn't know to what extent. In June of 2008, Susan wrote to her family and friends, and it said, "All except Josh Powell, as I don't trust him." Excuse me. "I have been having extreme marital stress for 3 to 4 years now. For mine and my children's safety, I feel the need to have a paper trail. He has threatened to skip the country and told me if we divorce, there will be lawyers. If I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one." Wow. That's scary. So, I'm going to talk about Josh for a little bit. Josh's parents had divorced back in 1992. Terica, Josh's mom, said that Stephen, Josh's father, was a harsh disciplinarian, and he routinely attacked their son Josh. Apparently, out of all the kids, he would pick on Josh and not the other kids, I guess. I don't know. There were many other accusations that Terica said happened to Josh. And she went on to say that that Stephen went after him every day. Like, this kid was tormented every day. So no wonder this kid turned out to be a screwed up adult. Okay, guys. I have somebody trying to come through, and unfortunately, yeah, it's the same spirit that you'll see as I get further in my reading, but he's trying to come through. I'm losing my voice, and he's trying to fight coming through, so I apologize if I'm a little off, but that's what happens, unfortunately. I don't have control over it. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so Josh went on to become violent. He apparently threatened his mom with a butcher knife when she asked him if he would do the dishes. Josh, along with his 3 brothers, ended up living with their dad. Josh's sister lived with their mother, but eventually ended up living with their dad as well. At some point, Stephen Powell, who's Josh's dad, his parents got custody of all 5 kids for a year before they ultimately went on to live with their mom. So, I mean, yeah, Stephen seems like a real winner of a dad, doesn't he? In response to all the chaos, Josh became extremely withdrawn. So now I'm done talking about Josh. I'll go back to the case. On the morning of September 6th, Susan took Charlie and Braden to church, then walked home with a friend. That afternoon, her neighbor, Joanna Owings, stopped by the Powell house to visit Susan. Susan had asked her to come over to help her untangle yarn she was using to crochet a blanket for Charlie. Josh said Owings could stay for dinner, but not her kids, because he claimed they didn't have enough food. So Josh was making pancakes and eggs, and he said, "Oh, you can stay, but I don't have enough food for your kids." What a schmuck. Susan had begun to spend more and more time at church, whereas Josh had begun to pull away from the church. At around 5 p.m., Joanne Owings was still over visiting. After eating, Susan decided to lay down. She wasn't feeling well. Owings assumed it was because she was worn out from a recent miscarriage and an ear infection she'd been battling. If your marriage is in that much dire straits, why would you get pregnant? Like, I don't understand that. So Owings stayed till about 5:30, untangling the yarn. And when Josh told Charlie and Braden that let's get ready to go sledding, she left. A neighbor spotted Josh returning home with the boys at around 8:30 p.m. 3 hours later, Marco Bastidas, a neighbor that lived one house away from the Powells, was locking up his car when he heard an alarm sounding inside the Powells' closed garage. Oddly, the whole house was dark, and when the alarm continued to sound, Marco's sister suggested he alert the neighbors. But it was getting late, and Marco didn't want to bother anyone. Eventually, the alarm shut off. Meanwhile, another neighbor heard a man and a woman arguing at the Powell house. She later told police she regretted not getting up to see where the argument was coming from. That's sad. It was approximately 12:30 a.m. when Josh said he loaded his boys into the minivan and took them camping at the Simpson Springs campground 25 miles west of Vernon. Camping at 12:30 a.m. in December with 2 young kids. Sure, Jan. It was like snowy and freezing cold. Come on. Between 9 and 10 a.m. on December 10th, the Powell's daycare provider grew concerned that something was wrong when the couple failed to drop the boys off. She attempted to reach Josh and Susan on their cell phones, but didn't receive any answer. The daycare provider contacted Josh's mother and sister, and they were ultimately concerned, so they contacted the police. The police arrived at the Powell house and had to break in to gain entry. No one was at home, but they found 2 large fans blowing on a large wet spot on the living room carpet. That evening, when Josh finally answered his cell phone, he was informed by his family that the police were waiting for him at his house. When he arrived home, he immediately was taken to the West Valley Police Station for questioning. He gave them his story about going camping with his boys at 12:30 a.m. on a snowy, freezing cold night. Yeah, okay. Police thought he seemed nervous. Josh said he didn't know where his wife was, and he immediately became a person of interest in his wife's disappearance. Go figure. The Powell's son, Charlie, told police about the camping trip. When police went to the campsite, they found no evidence of them camping due to the fresh snow cover. The West Valley police found Susan's purse, cell phone, and other personal items that she would have taken with her, so those were in her home. On December 10th, Josh, Charlie, Braden, and 100 friends and neighbors gathered at the Westview Park for a candlelight vigil. They handed out flyers and prayed for Susan's safe return. Stephen Powell, Josh's father, viewed women as objects, not people. He had some major issues. He saw his son's wife as a prize. He had become obsessed with her and often thought she was flirting with him. All right, so Stephen didn't hide his infatuation from his son. He would say right in front of his son that he wanted his wife and everything, and Josh would never say a word. Like, this guy was a wackadoo. A wackadoo. In 2012, police released thousands of diary entries and videos surrounding Stephen's obsession of Susan, his daughter-in-law. Earlier in the year, Stephen had been found guilty of voyeurism after taking photographs and videos of young girls changing and bathing in their bathrooms. He served time in a Washington state prison. What a sick piece of you-know-what. As the investigation into Susan's disappearance continued, an anonymous donor offered up a $10,000 reward. Josh's rental car was searched, and police discovered it had driven hundreds of miles. The family minivan was searched multiple times as well. In late December, Josh lawyered up and stopped cooperating with police. Ugh, guys, this case. Ugh. Police obtained a subpoena for all of Josh's media interviews because every time he was interviewed, he was acting bizarre. Go figure, he was bizarre. Anyone who thought Josh might be grieving, they changed their mind in January of 2010 as Josh packed up his boys and their stuff to move back to Washington State. So if your wife's missing and you love your wife and you're concerned about her, you would not pack your house up and move. You would stay right there in case she ever showed up or called. You know what I mean? Like, February 26, 2010, Josh and his stupid father launched a website, susanpowell.org. The website was developed under the guise of finding Susan. Again, yeah, okay, sure. A judge issued a warrant to search Josh's home in Puyallup, Washington. The warrant came a day after Stephen Powell gave an interview to ABC News. Okay, so Josh's father, Stephen, gave an interview to what did I say, to ABC News, and he was just talking about how he and Susan had a sexual relationship and how she flirted with him all the time. I mean, he's just, oh, God, this guy is just, ugh. Josh had told the police that Susan had stayed at home in bed because she didn't want to go camping. However, when his son Charlie was interviewed, he said that he went camping at Dinosaur National Park and his mom, dad, and little brother was with him. He said the family took flowers and crystals with them, but when it was time to come home, he said, quote, "My mom stayed where the crystals are because it had so much pretty where the crystals grow," close quote. What a sick piece of, you know what, the dad is. How could you do that? Take your, oh God, take the body or kill her and leave her there. Like, sorry, y'all. So Charlie and Braden were removed from Josh's custody in 2011, and Susan's parents got custody of them. Josh was allowed supervised visits only until he was allowed supervised visits, but if he went through with and underwent a psychosexual evaluation, took a polygraph test, then he would have been able to gain more visitation. While Chuck and Judy had the boys, they began to speak about what happened on the camping trip. This is where it gets interesting, y'all. Susan's parents' lawyer said they were beginning to verbalize more. The oldest boy talked about they went camping and mommy was in the trunk. Mom and dad got out of the car and mom disappeared. The boys spoke about mommy being in the mine. On February 5th, 2012, Charlie and Braden were scheduled to visit their father. Caseworker Elizabeth Griffin Hall pulled up to Josh's home. The boys jumped out of her car and ran to the front door. Josh opened up the front door, grabbed the boys, and locked the door, leaving Griffin and Hall banging on the front door. She was banging, saying, "Open up the door right now," trying to get in because it's supposed to be supervised visitation. And then she heard Josh tell Charlie that he had a surprise for him. The caseworker began to smell gas, so she called 911. So she ran out to her car to get her phone to call 911. And at the time, the 911 dispatcher didn't understand what she was saying. He only understood like a portion of what she was saying. So there ended up being an explosion and the house went up in flames. It took 22 minutes for help to arrive because the 911 dispatcher... just don't get me started. So Josh, Charlie, and Braden were dead. In 2017, after serving a 30-month sentence in jail, Josh's dad, Stephen, died in a hospital from heart issues. Boo-hoo, the world is a better place without you, sick, you know what. Okay. So, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I should have known better than to do what I'm about to say. So I thought, okay, let me try to contact Stephen Powell, Josh's father. Since Josh, Braden, and Charlie are all gone, and Stephen, I thought, let me try to connect with him first and see how it goes. Big mistake. Big mistake. So, I've said before, how you are in life is how you are in death. Yes. All right, so Stephen Powell came through babbling. Oh my God. It was like flashbacks. I'm looking at my notes and I'm flashing back to it. All right, so immediately this POS came through babbling on about how he was telling the truth about his sexual relationship with his beautiful daughter-in-law. Yeah, this guy is just a piece of work. You know, I was getting nauseous, okay, when he first came there, I started getting nauseous, and he was rambling on about how he would go get her panties and pleasure himself, and that she knew he was doing it, and I mean, it was just sick, perverse, sick, S-H-I-T. Yeah. So I had to just like cut it off right there. I couldn't keep going. I was so nauseous, you know, and I felt like I was getting a headache because of it, and it just, the guy is just sick. He's just a sick POS, always has been, always will be. So I had another man coming through. Like when I was trying to get rid of Steven, I had another man coming through. And I thought it was Josh because he looked like Josh, right? No. It was Josh's brother, Michael, who apparently had died at some point. It was like night and day. He was like 180, complete 180 distant, 180 difference of his father. His father was a POS. He was a very like down to earth, quiet, just seemed like a really decent guy, you know. So he went on to say that he has dealt with guilt for a lot of years, and he felt horrible, and he just wanted to say something. So he said that, okay, so I'm getting the feeling that he committed suicide. I don't know for sure. I didn't like research that end of it, but I think I just feel like he committed suicide. I feel like that's why he's, you know, gone. And it would make sense, I mean, if he felt all this guilt, right? So he went on to say that Stephen called him and said he needed his help, and he met him at a parking lot at 1 o'clock in the morning. So he helped move Susan's body from Josh's car to his trunk. Josh gave him directions that he wanted him to drive a few hours away to this specific mine and bury her in this mine. So Josh went back to his car to get directions to the mine, came back up. He could tell that Michael was shaken up, and that, you know, Michael was just like, I don't want to do this. So Josh said, forget it. I'll just have to do it myself, you know, type of thing. And so then they moved Susan's body back into Josh's car, and Michael went on. And he said, you know, he said it's haunted him. It haunted him the whole time he was alive. He felt horrible. He said because Susan was such a good woman. And he went on to say that Susan was too good for his brother, you know, that she was just such a good person, and Josh didn't deserve that, you know. And then Josh kills her and has her body right there when his kids are in the vehicle. You know, he was like, and he said, you know, I had a really hard time dealing with that. I could never get past it. I felt so guilty. You know, and he said he decided not to call the police because he felt bad because that's his brother, you know. I don't know. I don't know what, when it comes to murder like that, excuse me, I don't think that I could be involved in that and not go to the police and say, hey, my brother just killed his wife. You know, honestly, I don't think I could ever walk away and not do that, because it would eat me up. You know what I mean? It would totally eat you up. Like, if you're a good person, it would eat you alive, you know? Yeah. Yeah, guys. This is just... Okay. So, I tried to connect with Susan. You guys have to hold on a second. I have this loser, Steven, still trying to come through. Ugh. So I tried to connect with Susan. I wasn't able to connect with her. she's on my list. I'll try to reconnect with her at some point and see if I can make the connection. Okay, so I was trying to connect with the kids and someone came through and I realized it was Josh. And I immediately got like the nausea and the sick feeling like I had with his dad. And he was talking about, oh, I'm in such a horrible place and I don't deserve to be here and my life sucks and woe is me and blah, 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 blah. So I immediately just cut him off because I was not going to sit there and listen to it. Like, I don't think he deserves, like his father, he doesn't deserve for anyone to be able to connect with him. He doesn't deserve that. You know, he's a sick piece of, you know what, just like his father. As far as I'm concerned, he's worse. You know, he sat there and killed his babies. I mean, what a piece of crap. So, when I was trying to figure out, like, if Josh's brother Michael were telling the truth, if she was really in a mine, I really do feel like she's in a mine. I do feel that. I do. I do. I feel like it's several hours away and it's definitely a mine. I mean, I can see it. I'm not getting any other information about it, but it's like in the middle of nowhere. Like, desert? Yeah. I'm going to try again to see if maybe I can get any more information on that. But I figured rather than holding this video off for however long that takes, I'd go ahead and get this out and I can update it later. So, okay guys, be nice, be kind, wear your mask, do what you're told. I'm in the DMV area, just outside of Washington, D.C. Our county, a lot of other counties in the area have already done phase 1 of reopening. This Friday's phase 2. We have not even started phase 1 because our cases are climbing like crazy, unfortunately. You guys stay safe and stay well, and that about does it for me. Bye, guys.